the links for Odysee, BitChute, or join the channels, support channel, subscribe, star, crypto, of the various other methods. Okay, so I don't know why it's suddenly not politically incorrect to say this, and I feel like I'm not some, who's that guy who slept for a long time? I wasn't asleep for 200 years, Rip Van Winkle. I'm not that old to say, like, these things that were not politically correct, it seems like yesterday, are now haram, absolutely haram. To say something like, tribes are not mixed, that's not politically incorrect to say that. It's like something you say now that you could have said 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, or even a year ago. It's like, it gets that response from the Karens. Tribes are not mixed. That's not, like, facts are not Islamophobic. We're going to have to move beyond that and come back to accepting diversity of thought. It destroys the suspension of disbelief when I know that I'm clearly seeing some Hollywood propaganda. Oh, we really brought out the phobes out of the woodwork. We really got them Germans rolling. Dear Hollywood vermin, stop using black people as your shields. If I ever come out and say that some skin-swapped dog feathers is great, then you know that the pod flowers got me. Invasion of the Body Snatchers? What a great movie that was. It's right up there with They Live, which is probably my favorite movie. Kids today are watching, they're going to be watching Shakespeare movie adaptations, and it's going to look like it was filmed in Africa. Apparently King Lear was black. They're going to think England, like 500 years ago, looked like Africa. I have to explain, you're going to have to explain to your kids, see guys, Hollywood is actually run by lizard people who came from hell and literally worship Lucifer. And for some reason, we don't just round them up and feed them to the meth gators. Don't tell your teacher I said that, or the political commissars will put me in the happy camps for anti-Luciferian wrong-think. Get on the trains, cattle. So if you're a kid today, you're going to be so brainwashed with all this nonsense that's going on here. While on the other hand, we've got Gab, Telegram, and 4chan who's calling it out. So it's sort of a battle of good versus evil, at least until they shut those platforms down, and they will. Globalism versus weaponized autism. Oh, the funny thing is, when I was a kid, probably when you were a kid also, autism, that was almost unheard of. Now it's everywhere. I wonder what caused such a rapid change. What environmentally changed? It's like nobody is curious about that. It's weird how we just let all this stuff happen and nobody ever pops up and asks the questions. I think because we're relying on the media to ask questions. Then you watch the media and you're like, someone did something to someone else. You want to give a description, media? No. The media's been subverted. It's been subverted for a long time. You know, is there some industrial contaminant? Is there some medical issue? Is there something going on? Is everything fake and lighthearted and frivolous? Is just a Mossad op? Turns out, yeah, probably is. Okay, so the role was previously depicted by a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, bearded man. So of course, they're going to swap that out. She keeps peace amongst many people. Women are very good at that. So why can't she be a woman? Why shouldn't she be a woman? Because the character is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, bearded man. That's why. And I don't know if the things you're saying are true. Where are they true? Can you give me some examples where they have been true any more so than men keeping the peace? In case you don't know what Dune is, it's a cool science fiction, fantasy, ecology kind of sci-fi story. So what do globalists do with cool things? They struggle snuggle them to extinction. They subvert them and then they destroy them. Stories are written by one man. They feel authentic because it's usually one guy who's doing it. It's his universe. You know, some pale, bearded, shaky fingers from drinking too much coffee who's locked up in a room just slaving away at his typewriter or keyboard nowadays. Then the Hollywood drug-using Epstein-Weinstein committee gets it, and they replace the blonde or the red hair, the super pure Nordic types, with the opposite. Why? Because, and let me be clear here, they hate the people of the light. I show you examples of it weekly. By now, even the normie in Normistan knows that there is an issue here. When you ask these SJWs why they don't just create something new instead of being such subversive parasites, the problem is they can't create, only destroy. Think about what goes into creation. Sure, the obvious. You have to write a story, a book. Then you, after some intermediary steps, I can't pronounce that twice, you try to get it to people in exchange for money. Most stories either won't be good, or even if it is good, they're not timely for what the culture is into right at that moment. It's sort of the endless cycle of vampires, werewolves, zombies. They just kind of spin around. One is in vogue at a moment. It takes a lot of work to write and edit a book. I mean, editing a book takes a long time also, and also you're going to need another person, which you have to pay for. It's a life. It's like a religion. And if you're going to have to like give it a shot to understand it. Write your own book, write your own story. You figure it out like, oh, this is... it doesn't require genius so much as methodology, sitting and plugging away. It's like learning a musical scale. It's like you just have to practice it over and over. Do it 10,000 times and you'll feel pretty confident about it. So why don't the SJWs just write their own books about whatever topical nonsense is the soup du jour? They do all the time. They're very creative people. But most of everything sucks, and it's not just sucking because of them. Most of everything you put out there, 99% is going to suck, or 90%, and then 10% is going to be getting to be okay, and then 1% is going to be great. And I'm sure that doesn't add up, but you get the idea. It's something like that. They write their stuff, it hits $12,000 on Kickstarter, and that's it. It's diverse nonsense. It's bad. It doesn't, how do you define bad? Well, do people buy it? You can write anything you want, but to exchange it for money is a whole different process. So you can loosely say if people aren't buying it, then it doesn't appeal to people. It might not necessarily be bad. It just doesn't appeal to people for various reasons. And that's it. It's just nonsense. And the thing is, I'm not saying that if you're some special interest BLT group that you don't deserve your stories. Absolutely. But analyzing this from a commercial perspective, you're just appealing to a small subset of a market. It's not going to appeal to the masses. It's probably not going to be a huge financial hit. So you're doing it for other reasons. I mean, you can still make money doing it, but you gotta set your expectations realistically, and then really sell to your market, and not try to sell to some other market. Think how easy it is to self-publish something, a book or a comic. You can build your business from nothing. From, I guess, a cell phone. You need a story. All it has to be is minimally competent. It doesn't have to be genius. And more importantly, you need to sell it yourself on social media. You don't even need to be a hot chick. Zach of Diversity in Comics, later Comics Matter Through Boy, he looks like he was run over by a truck and then, brought back to life and then run over again. He wisely didn't show his face because, he looks like what he looks like. You can see him he does an interview on Comedy Central. He's pretty funny because he comes across as a really nice, sincere human being. And the other guy comes across as a fucking monster. Just a slimy, evil guy who's trying to manipulate this story. They put it on Comedy Central and then they delisted it. I don't think they deleted it because I just found it again. Or someone copied it. It's like it got so downvoted and people in the comments just destroyed them because it's this billion-dollar media company destroying this small little artist, veteran, 12 years veteran, and just trying to destroy him and make him out to be a monster. It's like people saw the media with their mask off and you go, oh shit, this could happen to any one of us. Like Zach may or may not be a great guy, but he didn't deserve this billion-dollar Comedy Central trying to destroy his life. It's seeing the media with their mask off and you realize, holy shit, they've got money and resources. They can do this to anyone. Anyway, he wisely didn't show his face. He sold on the force of personality alone. The problem with SJWs is they have no personality. They are very smarmy, smirky people. Even SJWs don't like SJWs because they know they will stab each other in the back because they have no core dogma, no base level programming. Where our side, some of them have Christianity or some of them have very based paganism. It gives them a core. SJWs are completely rudderless. they are writing this diverse abomination stories. Hollywood is not jumping on them because it's hard to take a book or comic that only like 1,000 people bought, 1,000 people if they're lucky or they know about, and turn it into a film or animation. Dune was popular with a pretty good sized audience, and it had 50 years to develop because it was well written and it felt authentic. It wasn't genius or anything. It was a simple story told well, which I guess technically is its own form of genius, so I guess it was genius. It had weird but honorable and likable characters. SJWs have a hard time writing likable characters because they themselves are very unlikable, and they can't write honorable characters because they don't have anything to be honorable for, because they don't have any core identity, any core dogma or ideology. SJWs see that, and some of them do try to write their own science fiction fantasy books. I've read some of them that weren't horrible, but they were like on the light end of propaganda. But they make it diverse, and then they start running into problems of antagonists and protagonists. Because in the globalist universe, blonde man is bad, always. With dark is always going to be good. So the story is over before it starts because we know visually who the characters are. They're not telling a story of kingdoms fighting trading guilds or the Bene Gesserit. Their story is blonde man bad in this specific story universe, and dark is good. The story is 90% told before you read the first page. You can look at the cover, you can see a dark countenance, and you know their role in the story. That's not a story, that's propaganda. SCWs don't understand this. Globalists do understand this. Those are two different things. Think of SCWs as useful idiots of the globalists, puppets to their masters. It's the death of storytelling when even a child can see fair and dark, and 100% of the time can name the pro and antagonists. Then you got to give your child to talk about the lizard people in the media and why daddy has been training the kids in certain art forms. This is a dovetail. Hashtag become ungovernable. All right, like, comment, subscribe, guys. I'll see you all next episode.